Pace is dropped on another week of Soccer's Morning Show. Soccer down here, John here, you there. And we got stuff to talk about in hour number 1 to get us ready for hour number 2. Considering it's a 2-hour show, that would make sense. Hour number 2, Bart Keeler comes in for his Monday visit, where it is reffing down here, as well as whatever's on Bart's mind that he can do to tease the SoccerForUS Pod episode that is out right now. Episode 75, where he and U.S. Keeper go over things with the men's national team, the women's national team, the W Gold Cup, Copa America, all that kind of stuff. So there are a couple of incidents that popped up into my head for reffing down here. That'll start at 10 o'clock. And at 10:30, it's Prem and Proper, the review. Maddie Cruz dropping by. Hopefully Drew Dickinson can drop by as well. We do know that for those who follow Drew on social media, that Drew's going overseas. And so we'll find out more about that. And then Drew probably will end up hosting episodes of Soccer Over There. But we'll get into that in due course. But hour number 1, we've got Champions League matchups. We've got Europa League matchups. We've got Open Cup to talk about. And we got Opening Kickoff. Opening Kickoff brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee, kickoffcoffeeco.com. There's the QR code for those of you who are watching on Twitch this morning. And don't forget to use the QR code there. And thanks to everyone who has kicked off their day with our friends from Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. Use the code Soccer Down Here 15. You get 15% off your purchase. They in turn take 10%, reinvest it into youth initiatives and the youth game, cool things that they've come across from our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. You might have taken a peek this morning at Tom Bogert, and it appears, morning forecard, according to Tommy Scoops, keep an eye on a couple of names. Jonathan Mensah, according to Tom, and this is about an hour ago, 2 center backs at Atlanta United are interested in per sources. Stian Gregerson, who's 28, of Bordeaux, a Norwegian international with 8 caps, and Jonathan Mensah, who is a free agent. According to Tommy Scoops, MLS veteran, MLS Cup winner with Crew, most recently with San Jose. Doing a little bit of chasing on Stian Gregerson. Here's what we know, at least in a bio sense, without having checked on any tape whatsoever. And yes, we'll get into Garrison Tubbs as well. Stian Gregerson of Bordeaux. Currently, Bordeaux is 17th in Ligue 2. But we also know what Garth Lagerwey and Carlos Bocanegra have been chasing after. They have been chasing into Ligue 2, and when you can pull out the likes of Tristan Mouyenba, or the French market period, when you can pull in the likes of Xande Silva and Tristan Mouyenba, so far they're 2 for 2. And Gregerson is a part of a team right now that has already had a 1-point federation deduction, and they are in the relegation zone in Ligue 2, which would lend itself to the possibility of needing some financial assistance. So once again, you find you find an opportunity, and you end up seeing what you've done in the French market, and you go into Bordeaux 5-5-8 right now, 18 matches, 17th place, and they are in the relegation zone on goal difference. Some notes on Gregerson. First and foremost, the one thing that I noticed out of the blocks, you know, what you sit there and you look at agencies and things like that. You look at who's tied to whom. And just as something, just as something to sit there and stare at, you look at the list of folks. Gregerson is represented by our friends at BHM. There is an individual who was fairly prolific in scoring goals for Atlanta United this past season, who is also represented by BHM. You might have heard of him, Yorgos Giacomakis. So conversations between agencies and individuals and clubs, that does happen. So now you have 2 fronts here. You have Gregerson, who is in the French marketplace, where Atlanta United has had success. And also, Gregerson is represented by the same group that represents Yorgos Akamakis. So like I said, this is all evidence. It is not evidence leaning in a direction, but it is a commonality of thread. So, Stian Gregerson, right now, center back, under contract through 26. But what is it that we always say about being under contract? It is about controlling the asset. And Bordeaux can do just that until 2026, unless someone knocks on their door and says, hey, yo, we're interested in an individual. And so Bordeaux, being in their current state in Ligue 2 on the field of play, might need some financial assistance. You go to a distressed asset, you sit there and you go, hey, I want to help you out. Possible idea. Laurel Fowler has also mentioned this morning that FC Cincinnati was interested in Gregerson at one point. 28 years old once again. 12 appearances so far this season in Ligue 2. Came there from Molde. So his tour goes KBK, Molde on the youth side, Kristiansund, Molde, and Elfsborg, Molde, Bordeaux. And it was moved over for a €2 million euro fee back in late August of 2021. So it looks like you signed a 5-year deal at the time, and you have that piece of information involving Gregerson, 1.91 meters in height, center back. Detailed information this year, once again, we mentioned he's got one. Also, he has 13 matches, all starts. Last season in Ligue 2, he had 37 appearances, 36 starts, 3,000 minutes. So, workhorse. So keep an eye on that. Doesn't do a whole lot of scoring, but he ain't afraid to. So had a goal last season, does not have a goal this season. So it looks like he averages that one moment every single year. So Stian Gregerson, who Cincinnati allegedly, probably kicked the tires on, now gaining interest from Atlanta United. Jonathan Mensah is also a part of that discussion. So what you would have in the conversations that I've had offline with Jarrett this morning is that you would have an individual, you would have two basically. You'd have two individuals, 128 who is coming from an international point of view, and then Jonathan Mensah, who's 33, who has experience in Major League Soccer. And so you would have the development of what we're seeing from Atlanta United 2, plus the possibility of bringing in older players / mentors like you would have like a Jonathan Mensah. 26 appearances last season, currently playing without Club FC come the beginning of the season. So it was a 1-year deal in San Jose. So getting into the Jonathan Mensah statistics, just so we have this kind of information on hand. Played one game in the playoffs this season. 31 matches, 26 starts. Just under 1,950 minutes. 2022 with Columbus, 30 matches, 30 starts. 2 goals and an assist. 2,500 minutes in 22 and 21, where he had 29 starts and 29 matches, 2 goals and an assist in 21 as well. Had a goal in Campeones Cup, had a goal in CONCACAF Champions League in 2021. So you've got someone who's giving you consistent starts across the board. And literally, you look at Jonathan Mensah's numbers. 31 matches, 26 starts. And this is going backward. 30 matches, 30 starts, 29 matches, 29 starts. This is all in Major League Soccer. There are other competitions to pay attention to here. 2020, he was 20 for 20. 20 starts in 20 matches. 24 starts in 24 matches in 19. Plus 3 in the playoffs in 2018, 28, and 27. Literally, he is taking up minutes. Jonathan Mensah is a minutes eater. So the possibilities remain to keep an eye on stuff involving Jonathan Mensah and Stian Gregerson, according to Tommy Scoops this morning. So center backs are being allegedly, possibly, probably eyed for the future for Atlanta United. So what, once again, this does is it gives you the opportunity to continue to develop Aiden Torres. No, and these are center backs, but nevertheless, you get to have a guy like Jonathan Mensah around to mentor Efren Morales, Noah Cobb, and everyone else gets to learn around them. Aiden Torres, who plays it right back, can learn from a guy like Jonathan Mensah. Stian Gregerson gives you the possibility, and Jonathan Mensah gives you those older, experienced guys there in the middle to act as mentors while you've got your younger players continuing to learn. So there you go. There's your Tommy Scoops look and analysis this morning. But the biggest thing that triggered for me immediately in this situation was that Gregerson has the same representation as Yorgos Chakamakis. So keep that in mind. BHM. Our friends at Transfermarkt are very, very valuable in these kinds of situations. So keep an eye on all of that. So that's your opening kickoff, brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee, kickoffcoffeeco.com. There's your QR code once again for those of you watching on Twitch, on YouTube, or on the 280-character app. Use the code SoccerDownHere15 to get 15% off your purchase. They, in turn, take 10% reinvested into the youth game, youth initiatives. Very, very cool stuff from our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. Also, Garrison Tubbs signed to a homegrown deal coming from Wake Forest. A lot of us have had the chance to see him grow through the academy, goes to Wake Forest, does well in college. What is it with Wake guys in Atlanta United? But Garrison Tubbs now signed as a homegrown deal as well. Looking forward to that, working your way forward. All right, so I know that a lot of folks, Hutch is saying, now that he's looking at it, he's going to go as a QR code next Halloween. Right there with you. Morning, Abby. So morning forecard. Hutch doesn't know the players, but likes the idea of veterans in those spots. Tofka's here for the fireworks. He's going to provide his take in a bit. Let me guess. Tofka's got a take on Open Cup. We'll get into that. Michael, thoughts on the MLS relegating the national championship to minor league status in favor of their money grab tournament? Morning, Alex. Alex, you and Maddie can commiserate around 10:30 when it comes to Prem and Proper, the review. All right. I know that you guys wanted to talk about it, so go ahead and dial it up. Open Cup, not of interest to Major League Soccer. Just go ahead and line them up. Just go ahead and say what you're going to say. I know Tofka's already gassed up and ready to go, so I don't know why you waited, Tofka, because I would have come back to the comments anyway. Yeah, the supporters, everybody came out with scathing statements. Everybody did. As a guidepost tomorrow, Bart, did you know that? Bart says, John, did you know that Doug Garber hates soccer? I was not aware. Just line them up. Seriously. I mean, that's why I figured we were going for most of hour number one before Bart comes in and dials us up with reffing down here and all this kind of stuff. All right. I know that Tofka's going to go for a little while. So, well, no, Michael, Jason did say some things on social media, and I think that this is where we can kind of look at things when it comes to Open Cup. But let's rebuild the story, and let's go ahead and give all of the points of view here when it came to Open Cup and Major League Soccer and not being interested in participating this season with first teams. So you look at everything, and you've got JD Knowlton with the Guardian saying things. Everybody is just dialing up. I mean, literally everybody is just dialing up their opinions on this. So go ahead. Once again, this is why the downside to not having an afternoon show, and I know that we need to have like more people so we can do an afternoon drive show. Next pro developmental teams are going to be participating in the Open Cup instead of first teams The league, according to Jeff Rueter, is going to reassess next season. MLS Next Pro are going to partake in, this is once again from Jeff Rueter, partaking in the nation's oldest ongoing tournament, first held in 1914. The league will reassess its first team's involvement after the 24th season to determine whether this change will become the new standard for participation. According to Dan Kordemosh, Chief Communications Officer, Major League Soccer has been in discussions with U.S. Soccer about this potential change for several months, probably going back to August, end quote. EVP of Sporting Product and Competition, Nelson Rodriguez, has been leading those talks from Major League Soccer's side. Among the chief drivers of the decision was an aim to decrease schedule congestion after LAFC played a record 53 competitive games in 2023. For the U.S.-based MLS teams, there'll be anywhere from 1 to 6 fewer games on the schedule for their first teams following this swap. The league began a new installment of Leagues Cup in 23, with every MLS team playing at least 2 games and up to 7 in the month-long tournament with Liga MX. No plans to pull Montreal, Toronto, or Vancouver's first teams from the Canadian Championship. And as I said, we mentioned that tomorrow morning at 10, Darren Van Tassel, Grand Exalted Poobah of South Georgia Tormenta, is going to be on with us. This will be one of the topics that we will discuss with Darren. There's a lot to talk about with Tormenta, USL Championship, with USL League One, and other things going on in Statesboro. Pablo Jara now in Richmond. There's a unified team that is under development now at Tormenta. But obviously, as a part of this, we can discuss Open Cup and we can discuss the League One schedule because that is now out. So there's a lot to talk about with Darren tomorrow at 10. So come back for that. Quoting USL President Paul McDonough in a statement. MLS announcement today about Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup was a surprise to us and contrary to recent public statements. We will speak with U.S. Soccer and with our owners before making any further public comment about MLS's position. Rueter continues. At a U.S. Soccer Board of Governors meeting in May, Don Garber stated that U.S. Open Cup was a very poor reflection on what it is we're trying to do with soccer at the highest level. Speaking from the podium during the State of the League News Conference in Columbus, tone was one of unity across the entirety of the domestic soccer landscape. Quote, I made those comments because I believe if we're going to have our professional teams competing in a tournament that is the oldest tournament of its type, we all need to embrace it from our federation to our respective leagues and give it the profile and give it the support that it needs. If we can't do that, then we all should meet together and decide that there needs to be a new plan. I will say that I'm pleased that our competition group and U.S. Soccer have been working together since that last U.S. Soccer board meeting and have been working on ways to evolve the U.S. Open Cup so that it can be more valuable to everybody. That process is ongoing, end quote. This was the first year of a new broadcast deal for Open Cup. Some games featured on BR Live as well as the YouTube channel. Tournament reached the final stages. Cup matches also shown on Paramount Plus on Golazo. You'll remember they also had a star cam that was solely on Lionel Messi, as they should, during the semifinal win over FC Cincinnati. DC United is the only team without a developmental team in Major League and MLS Next Pro. Team's former USL affiliate, Loudoun United, was sold to independent owners, still competes in the second division USL Championship. As a result, DC United will not have any participation in the 2024 U.S. Open Cup. One source briefed on previous discussions with U.S. Soccer said that the league explored expanding MLS rosters significantly for the Open Cup to allow teams to choose when to rotate in Next Pro players. However, that was dismissed as an alternative. Like I said, I'm going to present this article, and then we'll cycle back. The decision to replace first teams with developmental teams was discussed at last Wednesday, 5 days ago, the Board of Governors meeting in New York. Unclear how the move will be approved in the face of the Professional League Standards, a U.S. Soccer Federation document that guides the sanctioning and structure of leagues within the U.S. Soccer pyramid. Under the guidelines for a First Division's Men's Outdoor Soccer League, one of the first points for sanctioning is all U.S.-based teams must participate in all representative U.S. soccer and CONCACAF competitions for which they are eligible, end quote. This is to Abby's point. Independent Supporters Council, central body for American soccer supporters, shared its deep concern about MLS's decision in a statement on Saturday, calling it not only a disservice to fans but to the sport itself. Here's what the ISC said, taking out the opening paragraph. ISC says Open Cup embodies the true spirit of American soccer, connecting grassroots to professional tiers in a unique and historic competition. Tournament's not just a series of matches, a symbol of the sport's authenticity and diversity, showcasing talent from all levels of the soccer pyramid. Paragraph 3. MLS's withdrawal of their first teams from the Cup is not only a disservice to the fans, but also to the sport itself. It undermines the inclusive nature of American soccer, where dreams and ambitions are nurtured on the principle of open competition. The decision threatens to erode the very foundations of the sport's heritage and its connection to communities. We urge MLS to reconsider its position for the sake of the sport's integrity and its fans. U.S. Open Cup represents a critical link between the various echelons of American soccer and its value in fostering competition, community spirit, and national soccer identity is irreplaceable. In solidarity with fans and teams across the U.S., the ISC stands committed to preserving the traditions and authenticity of American soccer. We believe in an inclusive and dynamic sport that honors its past while forging its future. We hope to see MLS return to this esteemed competition. So in June, the MLSPA, their executive director, Bob Foose, told The Athletic, Open Cup is certainly not something that our players look forward to. Foose said at the time, we haven't taken a formal MLSPA position on the Open Cup. I will say, my personal opinion is that it's not at the level that our players should be playing at. At this point, the venues aren't there, the facilities aren't there, the structure of the tournament isn't contributing to making MLS a better league, and I think it's something that ought to be pondered. With these planning talks being held between MLS and U.S. Soccer, Quartermash added that key partners were informed of the news in the final hour before Friday's announcement. USL Championship will now be the highest-ranking league in the pyramid to partake in Open Cup, last non-MLS MLS champ being the 1999 Rochester Raging Rhinos. So, that's where we are. And I think that if Major League Soccer were to treat this like our friends in England treat the FA Cup, I think if you had that greater roster flexibility that was mentioned in the Reuter piece, I think we'd be okay. You have during the regular season in Major League Soccer and MLS Next Pro, you have appearances in Next Pro by first-team players, rehab assignments, what have you. I still want my Ozzie Alonso Atlanta United 2 jersey, by the way. I would think that if this behavior is regular during the regular season, that if you allotted for larger rosters and larger availability of players, say, let's phrase it that way, where if you could bring in an Aiden Torres and, whomever you wished you could to help you out, where you could still have first teams available in Open Cup, but have the roster flexibility like we see in the FA Cup, where you see academy players, coming in and making their marks there. They get their moment in the sun. I think that could work. The number of matches that LAFC played was 53. Let me check something real quick. I'm going to go back to our friends at Transfermarkt. I want to see how many matches Manchester City played last season. Multiple competitions. You're going to have 38 in your Premier League activity. That you're going to have 38. And so 38 is going to happen. Then you add in Champions League. Then you add in group stage. and all of these others that are attached. So let's see how many matches they played in 22-23. How many matches did Manchester City play, as an example, in the 22-23 season? They ended up with 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 22, 20, 23. So 23, so they played 61 matches last season. Manchester City, as an example. Like I said, this is just a number relative to success. They do play more matches in the Premier League. They play 4 more. Then you get into playoffs and such. But 61 matches last season for Manchester City. That includes Community Shield. That includes all the Premier League. That includes group stage in the Champions League. Last year in the Gummy Bear Cup, they went to the quarterfinals. And in the FA Cup, as I sit here and buzz through, FA Cup, once again, they made it to a final. Final in the FA Cup. Didn't go as far in the Gummy Bear Cup. And that was their choice. That was their choice to do that. That was their choice with the lineups that they had to pursue what's going on. Tournaments, matchups, availabilities. 61 matches last season for Manchester City. But because of the roster flexibility that they are allotted, they could have whatever lineup they wanted. You know, if they wanted to start Erling Haaland, they could start Erling Haaland, you know. So as an example, let's just say, let's look. Let's see if we can find the quarterfinal matchup against Southampton and see if we can find what the lineup was. EFL Cup, not FA Cup. EFL Cup. So Manchester City and Southampton, just as an example, as to what that lineup was. Shock loss in the semis. Everyone was stunned. So he names a strong side and still loses. Cancelo, Grealish, Gundogan, Calvin, Phillips. So that was something that they wanted to do, and still they lost. Now, let's go into another random competition here and see what the lineup was once again for Manchester City. Traditionally, what they like to do in the early rounds is they will chase after tournaments, but then there will be those times where they'll sit there and they'll go, okay, this particular opponent, you know, we've got 3 matches in a week, those kinds of things, and you'll figure out, okay, I don't think that I'm going to line up here. So FA Cup 5th round against Bristol City. Once again, we know that Bristol City had a great run last year. And so Manchester City, Bristol City. What was the lineup in this one? But once again, when we look at this lineup, you're going to sit there and go, well, yeah, duh. It was what it was because of the opportunity provided Manchester City. Ortega in net, Akanji, Ruben Diaz, Nathan Ake, Calvin Phillips, Rico Lewis. Rico Lewis gets a start. Riyad Mahrez, Kevin De Bruyne, Bernardo Silva, Phil Foden, and Julian Alvarez. So still fairly strong. But you had substitutions: Sergio Gomez, Cole Palmer, Maximo Perrone, Jack Grealish. You did not use Gundogan, Walker, Rodri, and Erling Haaland. But once again, it is the flexibility allotted to them to where they can have these choices of playing, having a Peroni on a game day roster. And I think that going forward, I think that would be the key here. Have the flexibility to add in next pro players going up into a first-team roster. Add a little more flexibility there. But since this particular element has been introduced by Major League Soccer, it would be bringing first-team players down to help out next pro. Since this is the position that Major League Soccer has taken, if you allotted for more roster flexibility and had first-team players come down to be a part of MLS Next Pro to compete in the competition, the inverse should be just as true. So that's where Major League Soccer is currently. But I think the key here, yes, you played 53 matches, but that is a symbol of success. You played 53 matches. There are teams in other leagues and other countries that play more. But that goes to the roster stringencies, to create a word, currently in place in Major League Soccer. I think that if you had a more flexible approach in being able to assemble game day rosters, I think you'd be okay. And this was the point that Jason was making on his social media as well. I don't think that, I think that Major League Soccer can just go ahead and give yourself a little bit of elbow room. Understanding that you have more financial constraints than other leagues around the world. But you also have academies and you have second teams where you feel like you should give a player a chance in a situation like that. Give them that opportunity. Allow for that roster flexibility in this kind of a competition. And not be in this current situation that you're in. Club World Cup, that's another thing that we need to get into because that got announced as well. So here we go. Amelia says, I can't get back the weekend time lost on the 280 character app. And Abby, thank you for bringing it up. Needed the anger to close my luggage all the way. I just had this vision of Abby smashing and just sitting on her suitcase to make sure that everything shuts. Michael Head, at some point MLS is going to alienate all soccer fans. I'm surprised there isn't some FIFA regulation that requires top-level competition in the national championship. It's an open tournament. But I understand where you're coming from. Schedule compression that you, the league, helped create. Yeah. But like I said, Major League Soccer, no different than any other league around the world. You have these other competitions that you drift into. But at the end of the day, I think that the club should have the choice as to how deeply they wish to participate in a tournament. You will have teams in Open Cup who are in Major League Soccer who will sit there and go, you know what? I think we're done. We got games on the weekend. This would be like the sandwich game and 3 games in a week. We got other things we got to focus on. And at the same time, you also have teams in Major League Soccer under the current constraints, like we saw with Sporting Kansas City, who was like, we're all in. This is a way to salvage our season. We're at we're at the bottom of the table right now. We're diving in and we're going for it. But you should have the same kind of opportunity given to yourself as to how you wish to approach this. Give yourself a little wiggle room when it comes to your rosters. That's all I'm asking for. Just give yourself a little bit of room to give yourself the choice of, I want to chase after an Open Cup. Nah, I'm good. I'm cool. It's like we got regular season Major League Soccer. We're making a playoff run. early couple of rounds, if you've got something to focus on and you're sitting there going, no, I think it's best if we focus on ourselves and not be in this extra tournament. We got some stuff we got to correct, or we got to rest or whatever. Let the clubs have that choice and have them approach it with the roster that they want. But as of right now, it is your second teams currently playing in MLS Next Pro that are going to be in the Open Cup next year. And I know that you guys are still fired up about it, understandably so. Alex, MLS is still punishing Paul, eh? And Emilio says, need to look at the PA and the Fed. Tofka, in summary, it shows that only money matters, not the sport itself, which has been a growing undercurrent theme for MLS for a while. Michael Head, as I've said multiple times, top-tier players and clubs are playing way too many games. Now the Club World Cup is expanding, meaning more matches. Soccer's trying to kill its golden goose. Tofka in conversation with Michael Head. And in the case of MLS, it's the exact opposite reaction. Want to cut matches? Cut a couple of regular season matches against cross-conference opponents. Those imbalance the schedule anyway. Tofka, the irony is I really enjoyed Leagues Cup, not just for Messi, but it doesn't have to be an either-or decision. There are better fixes than abandoning the USOC. Michael, we don't have much soccer tradition in the country compared to the rest of the world. MLS just destroyed a large portion of what tradition there is. So, like I said, just keep firing away. I know that you're all gassed up and ready to go about it. So just go ahead and keep firing away in the Twitch pitch. Club World Cup was another topic that came up, and its expansion. And so Paul Tenorio was very, very busy. 2025 World Cup in the U.S. is going to take place over 29 days in the summer. First edition of the FIFA Club World Cup in 25 begins June 15, finishing on July 13. Set your calendars appropriately. Tournament will be the first of its kind. FIFA is going to announce plans for expansion. First of its kind, with FIFA announcing plans for its expansion to 32 teams back in December of last year. Johnny Infantino said that with the required infrastructure in place together with a massive local interest, U.S. is the ideal host to kick off this new global tournament. You could say the same thing about the 27 World Cup for the women, but you still want to have time to think about making the announcement. FIFA Council meeting on Sunday. European teams will take up 12 of the 32 spots. 4 of those being Champions League winners in each of the 4 years before 2025. There is an ish ton of math that is being applied to this. An ish ton of math. So that means Chelsea, Real Madrid, Manchester City, they've already secured their place for 2025. 2 years from now, they're in a tournament. They already know this. FIFA has also announced the plans for the annual FIFA Intercontinental Cup, which will see the reigning Champions League winner face one of the other confederations tournament winners in a final after playoff rounds involving the remaining continental champions. I'm getting a headache. Concerns that an expanded Club World Cup with more teams and more games will be to the detriment of player welfare. Once again, written by Paul Tenorio. Particularly in Europe, where the expanded Champions League group stage beginning next season adds to an already packed calendar. FIFA Pro released a statement following FIFA's announcement saying the new tournament, quote, demonstrates a lack of consideration for the mental and physical health of participating players, as well as a disregard for their personal and family lives, end quote. Yeah, well, Bart, we're not done. Bart says that he went to school for words. Bart went to school for words, not numbers. Morning, Harry. Not numbers. So he tuned out of the entire qualification matrix. Well, just look at it this way. Teams that have already won, they're in. Current Club World Cup format, 7 teams, each continental competition. First 2, you can get 2 first-round games. Those winners go in. 2 second rounds, 2 semis. Champions League and Copa Libertadores winners enter in the semis. Third place playoff and a final. Real Madrid beat Morocco in the 22 Club World Cup, played early in 23. Manchester City among the teams competing in Saudi Arabia over the next week. That's why they're not playing this week. Set your fantasy rosters appropriately. The revamped tournament will contain 8 groups of 4 teams. Side each playing each other once. It's the top 2 qualify for the knockouts. Knockouts, single legs, no third place playoffs. Every 4 years. International match calendar altered from 2025 to see one extended international break in late September, early October, replacing 2 separate windows. Thank God. At least that's the one part about this. International window play. International window play. Talking about breaking up rhythm. Previously taken place around the turn of the calendar year during the traditional European domestic season. 2025 edition will come in the middle of the year during the North American and South American domestic seasons. Okay. So UEFA, 12 clubs qualify. 8 other teams determined by a club ranking based on the same 4-year period, 2020 through 2023-24. CONMEBOL, 6 clubs, Copa Libertadores winners between 21 and 24, and 2 other teams to be determined by a club ranking. Palmeiras, Flamengo, Fluminense in. CONCACAF, the Triple C winners between 21 and 24. So Monterrey, Seattle, and León. AFC, 4 clubs from the Champions League. Al Hilal and Urawa Red Diamonds are in. 4 clubs out of the CAF. Al Ahly and Wydad are in. And Oceania gets 1 club, highest ranking club from the OFC Champions League winners from 21 to 24. And the host country gets 1 in. And you got a club ranking system. And to Bart's point, there's a lot of math. Points, points, and points. And reading about it, man, get a headache. All this point system, and we're 2 years away from a competition. I'll go ahead. That'll be your required headache of the day, is trying to sort out what in the wide world of sports is going on with the friggin' Club World Cup format. So there's that. Yikes. All right. So Bart's going to join us in 12 minutes. Gossip, rumor, and innuendo in the morning. Juve wanted to sign Calvin Phillips in January. They want to sign him in January. Apparently, he's open to the move. Crystal Palace have expressed an interest in Eddie Nketiah during the January window. Arsenal, Manchester City both targeting Douglas Luiz. Neither club is flinching at Aston Villa's £100 million valuation. Jadon Sancho's reps are trying to force a move away from Manchester United, but a swap deal involving the 23-year-old in Borussia Dortmund would be too complicated. Fabrizio Romano, who reported on Chris Donovan, by the way, staying with Philadelphia. Go for it, man. No, it is not my specialty, Abby. Math is not, by any stretch. Chelsea, Manchester City have asked to be kept informed about River Plate's midfielder Claudio Echeverri, who's 17. Please keep us informed. That's from Fabrizio Romano. Manchester United want to clear players out next summer in order to sign David Alaba. And we're still waiting on the national nightmare of wondering whether or not or when Sir Jim Ratcliffe's 25% stake is going to be approved. According to Ben Jacobs, there's a lot of legal stuff, a lot of legal hoops that have to be jumped through, and so they're still jumping through said hoops with a lot of paper. Everton interested in signing 23-year-old Marseille and Senegalese forward Iliman Ndiaye. Fulham considering a move for Feyenoord midfielder Mats Wiefer. Manchester City are set to join Real Madrid in the race for Girona's left-back Miguel Gutierrez. Spurs and Pierre-Emile Højbjerg also on Juve's radar in January. Leeds could sell Wilfred Gnonto, who was a target for Everton this summer in January. Carlo Ancelotti says Real Madrid could sign a defender after David Alaba suffered a serious knee injury. So Manchester United want to clear players out for next summer, hoping that the Alaba knee injury will have been recovered by then. So that's your that's part of gossip, rumor, and innuendo this morning. And let's check the papers and see if there's anything that we're missing here. Once again, avoiding the 3 and the 4 letter paper as we always do, or we try our best to. Daily Express say Arsenal are monitoring Dominic Solanke's situation at Bournemouth. If they're priced out of a move for Ivan Toney, would Andoni Iraola allow it, or Bill Foley? Van Dijk and Onana involved in a tasty interaction. This is the wording from Sky and the Daily Express. Van Dijk and Onana involved in a tasty interaction in the tunnel that highlighted the moods in both dressing rooms after the draw. Maybe we'll find out about that and see what folks think at 10:30 with Prem and Proper, the review. Ivan Toney's excited about the chance to join Arsenal, according to reports, and Chelsea may end up with their future captain if they complete a reported £35 million transfer for Wolves star Max Kilman. Daily Mirror, AC Milan is set to make a fresh attempt to sign Arsenal defender Jakub Kiwior. Liverpool have been handed a major boost to their hopes of signing Bayer Leverkusen star Piero Hincapié. Leicester plan to hang on to young striker Tom Cannon in the face of a lot of loan bids. Forest captain Joe Worrall could be set for a move to Middlesbrough in the Championship. Real Madrid reportedly set to demand €60 million, £51.5 million for Alaba. Liverpool and Manchester United will not be in the newly expanded FIFA Club World Cup after the world governing body agreed rules to limit it to 2 per nation, which will be Manchester United and Chelsea. The Guardian, Mary Earp says she thinks Nike learned lessons over the injustice of not making her England replica shirt available for sale after the World Cup. I hope to hell so. Talk about something that they should have done. You had so many women and young women who wanted that shirt. The myopia, I hope they've learned from that. I hope they've learned from it. Once again, avoiding the 3 and the 4 letter paper. Jose Mourinho says he wants to stay at Roma despite his contract with the Italian club expiring next summer. Endrick watched Real Madrid's game against Villarreal, the first game the 17-year-old has attended since signing for the club. Rangers not allowed in the Club World Cup, so you can't be a part of the reindeer game. £50 million body blow as they were ruled out of the Club World Cup, and CCV has urged raging Celtic supporters to keep cool after tempers flared at Parkhead. Good luck on that. That's the other thing that is out of control these days. Fans, fandom, yelling, screaming, ranting, raving. That is definitely out of control. Police are to contact Aston Villa and Brentford to find out further details of after Ollie Watkins said a spectator was abusing him all game during the sides' clash on Sunday. Scored a late winner for the 2-1 win at the G-Tech. And that was at the end of the match. For those of you that you tried to see Emi Martinez trying to be peacemaker, Villa posted on X, they want to express its support for Ollie Watkins, and with the utmost respect for the big majority of Brentford fans and for the club, we ask the authorities to investigate this incident, to find this individual, zero tolerance to abuse in football. Earlier today, our time, East Coast, a spokesperson for the Metropolitan Police said, we are aware of the claims. Officers will be making contact with officials at Aston Villa and Brentford to find out further details. Brentford boss Thomas Franks said, Ollie and I went to each other after the game. He said there was a situation with a fan. I know Ollie's a top person of top integrity. Eileen Gleeson has been confirmed as the new head coach of Ireland's women's side, replacing Vera Poe. Marco Silva believes Fulham's recent cup run shows the ambitions of the club as he wants to lead them to the Carabao Cup semifinals. Jude Bellingham scored in that same match where David Alaba tore his ACL. And once again, another round of stupidity down here. Liverpool condemned actions leading to minor damage of Manchester United's team bus during their arrival at Anfield. Club are working with Merseyside police to identify and investigate those responsible for throwing objects at the vehicle. Videos circulating on social media showed a bottle being hurled at the bus, causing damage. Statement, 3 sentences long. It's exhausting. Manchester City is going to play Urawa Red Diamonds in the semis of the World Cup tomorrow, Club World Cup. Urawa beat Leon 1-0 in their second round match yesterday. What to watch and where to watch it. Abby, I have not, on the Twitch apps, have it transferred to a night mode. I know it is hard to read when things are in night mode. And I had my web searches, my internet go to dark mode and night mode. It's just trying to figure out, okay, where do I switch it? And it took me forever also to do that on the 280 character app. It went to night mode, and I'm like, okay, settings, boom, boom, boom. Try to figure that and go down there. Yeah, it was a pain in the butt. I don't know why they think that night mode should be a default. I have really no idea. No clue whatsoever. What to watch and where to watch it. And soccer on TV today. ESPN Deportes has La Liga at 3. Girona, keep an eye on them against Alaves. Gol TV has the Portuguese Premier at 3:15. Sporting and Porto, that's a pretty decent matchup. If you don't have Gol TV, you can get it at Fanatis, fntz.co/soccer down here. And you can help out the network by helping them gain more subscribers. You can help out the show and watch some really cool stuff because they have all the BNs. They've got the Brasileiro. I watched Ecuadorian last night, Gol TV, For the Fans, CDO, Teise, all of that. You can get it in one place at Fanatis. ESPN Plus is Birmingham City, Leicester City at 3 o'clock in the championship. Leicester City is right now, and I know that Jason Nix is enjoying this, set for a crazy point total in the championship. They're also simulcasting Girona and Alaves. Club World Cup semi Fluminense and Al Ahly is at 1 o'clock on FIFA Plus. Fox Soccer Plus has women's Serie A at noon. Europa League. We got to do that before Bart comes in. Europa League draw and Europa Conference League draw. Atalanta and Salernitana at 2:45. Okay. We had the draws this morning in those competitions. And let's see if I can find them before Bart pops in. Champions League. Manchester City got Copenhagen. So Porto and Arsenal. Napoli, Barca, PSG, and Real Sociedad, Inter and ATLUTD, Eindhoven, Dortmund, Lazio, Bayern, Copenhagen, Manchester City, Leipzig, and Real Madrid. So that's what you're staring at. Draw for Europa League knockouts. 8 group runners up, 8 teams dropping down from Champions League. Brighton, Liverpool, West Ham, Rangers not involved. They all top their groups. Galatasaray will face Sparta Prague. Milan gets Rennes. Feyenoord, Roma, Shakhtar Donetsk, and Marseille. So the Europa League, Europa Champions League, it's all out there. Harry Kane continues to be crazy when it comes to his goal totals in the Bundesliga. And once again, not necessarily a surprise that you would be chasing after things in that manner. So that's what you're looking at with Champions League, Europa League, all of the leagues, all the stuff. And, this was the other thing I probably need to talk about before Bart pops in. And I know that we'll probably get into more at Prem and Proper as Maddie vents and hopefully Drew vents, and we'll get into other stuff. Tom Lockyer, still in hospital after his collapse. Luton Town pleading for patience. They're awaiting results before the next steps of recovery. Remained in hospital undergoing tests and scans after his collapse in the Bournemouth match. It was revealed that he did suffer cardiac arrest with about 30 minutes to go. Taken to hospital, described as alert and responsive, initially suspended, abandoned with the clock paused on 65. So club provided a further update on the 29-year-old, which included a request for patience and understanding from fans and the media. About 3 paragraphs long. Expected the game to be rearranged and replayed in full, as Premier League rules suggest, with the league's board considering that decision and an announcement to be made in due course. Premier League sources, when asked by The Guardian, could not comment on whether the correct medical protocols were followed on the day. So, Tom Lockyer still in hospital. All right, so it is 10 o'clock, and it is Monday. And we have changed the days for reffing down here and for the SoccerForUS POD visit from our friend Bart Keeler, who's adjusting everything to make sure that it's all properly positioned as he's ready to go for Monday. And so I see some stability in the studio for Bart Keeler. So I'm going to go ahead and bring him in. Is there stability in the studio, Bart?
I think there is.
Okay, cool. So how was your weekend, sir? First off, what's the mug?
Top of the table.
Yes, Arsenal. Yes, of course. So
hoping that maybe some of that luck will brush off on Atlanta United.
There you go. So there are things to discuss. Where would you like to go first? Do you want to go reffing down here first? Do you want to talk about the W draw and Copa America? It's been a while since you've been here. Where do you want to start?
Well, it hasn't been a long while since I've been on. I just haven't been on with you.
What was it like? What was it like filling in last week?
It's weird talking to yourself. When you're recording like that, you're just talking to yourself. It's crazy. No, Rich, I did not watch the Liga MX final. Sorry. I was doing shenanigans both nights this past weekend.
So you were in a multiple shenanigans zone last weekend.
Yeah.
Did you at least have fun, sir?
Fun was had for sure.
Okay, just checking. So for those who have not had the chance, SoccerForUS episode 75 is now out on the network. Quick review. What did you and US Keeper talk about on episode 75?
We talked about the W Gold Cup draw and the Copa America draw, what it means for the US, and also about the partnership between CONCACAF and CONMEBOL, which I think a lot of people have always wanted these two confederations to merge. I don't think that's ever going to truly happen, but things like this do kind of help each other and fill in weaknesses that the other has. So as I explained, CONCACAF has a bajillion member associations. CONMEBOL has 10, and CONMEBOL, in the past for their Copa America competition, they brought in other teams, but this is, allowing them to expand and bring in regional rivalries that people care about, not necessarily, Japan or Qatar or stuff like that. This is a legitimate regional competition now. And on the women's side, for the US specifically, it brings in a couple of better teams outside of just Canada, which is nice for both men's and women's competitions.
Which is nice. When you look at these competitions, it's going to be a busy 4 years for this particular hemisphere because of all of the competitions coming in, and it's going to be a true challenge for the governing bodies and for the leagues.
Yeah.
And it was a point that we discussed in hour number one. This is going to be a hell of a juggling act over the next 4 years to figure out, okay, what can we do here? Can we do this? Can we do this? Can we do this? And make it all work while you're still trying to be shown on an international platform.
Well, I think one of the things that I saw first off was with the new, what are they calling it? The new Club World Cup, Intercontinental Cup, whatever they're calling it. Sure. Is that will interfere with both MLS League and Gold Cup, and probably to some extent Leagues Cup. So I'm curious how MLS will handle that. They might just pull out of the competition altogether because it's like a little cash cow Leagues Cup.
There's the shot. I was waiting for that. I was waiting for the shot.
I do want to. I have thoughts.
I figured you.
But we could get to those after reffing down here if we want to.
Sure. Yeah, I figure let's do that. But I figured that your initial salvo of Bart of you saying that Don Garber hates soccer, I figured that was your shot.
Well, that was a joke because kind of a joke. World Soccer Talk put that out in a tweet in one of their articles, and it's true. I mean, look, it is verifiable that Don Garber was not a soccer guy before he became commissioner of MLS.
Businessman.
I don't think it takes a soccer loving person to run a good sports business. What I think we're seeing now is you have a lot of people who aren't interested in making soccer not making the sport the primary focus. They are making too much the business the primary focus. And it is unfortunate. I think more than the teams pulling out of US. And by the way, I do have to kind of calm everyone down a little bit. They are just playing their reserve roster. So all this how are we going to, they're going to pull sanctioning from MLS. One, good luck with that. I'm sure MLS has better lawyers than US Soccer. And two, I think technically if you're playing your reserves that are still being paid by the club, it counts. And I think what's frustrating, and John, you talked about this, in the first hour is just frustrating that MLS was not willing to loosen their roster restrictions to make this less of an impact on their team. Because I think it would make a lot more sense to me if you say, look, for US Open Cup, your MLS roster, you can expand it to, maybe you say, okay, well, MLS teams can use up to 40 on your roster. So that gives you the ability to add just for cup competitions. And that's what you say. You have your MLS roster, you have your cup competition roster, and it gives you a chance, like for Atlanta United, it gives you a chance to bring in a Nick Firmino type of a kid who is clearly teetering on that line anyway, obviously, or was anyway. And he could have helped you in Open Cup, in Leagues Cup, when you just needed to kind of fill the roster. And it's just, again, as I tweeted when this first came out, MLS ran away from this challenge instead of making it an opportunity to truly grow the sport, grow their brand, and hopefully, at least with U.S. Soccer, what they're planning to do for it next year, make this a cup competition worth winning. And MLS decided not to. And it's sad because the only reason they decided not to is because they don't see the business value in it.
Yeah, well, and I tried to go through it in hour number one with number of matches and compare it to other leagues.
Yeah. I mean, again, I forget who said it, but the match congestion is totally fabricated because MLS decided to make up a stupid little tournament with Liga MX. And I'm sorry, I know it's entertaining, but y'all did this. It's the meme of the person, I forget the actor or the comedian, but the meme of him shooting the person in the chair and going, "Why did you do this to me?" When it's, or the bike where you put the stick in the wheel and go, "Oh my goodness, I can't believe that someone would do this to me after you did it to yourself." And it's like, yeah, the match congestion is bad because you did this. And honestly, when it comes to Leagues Cup, it's not impacting them as much because you're breaking for it. You're not doing this during your league season. So with Open Cup, if you're playing up to 4 matches total, again, just allow them to increase the roster size.
Yeah, if you in Leagues Cup, you could be 2 in group stage and then possibly 7.
Right.
You go all the way. So everybody's playing.
You're taking a break.
Yeah.
That's the thing, right? This isn't adding more matches necessarily within the regular season. This is just adding more matches, but you're not playing other matches around it. And I think that is one of the downfalls of Open Cup. That said, again, MLS could have just figured out a way to make this work for them, and they just chose not to.
Yeah, and I think that it would not surprise me if somewhere before the season, between, after the Christmas season, after we've exchanged all of our gifts under the Festivus tree and had our feats of strength and airing of grievances, that, that something was done to address this. It would not surprise me if there would be some kind of a tweak leading into Open Cup going into this season because of the hue and cry that we've seen so far.
Yeah. Well, and again, I think what it's going to come down to is you have to make it somewhat financially lucrative. And from a U.S. soccer perspective, there are a lot of ways to do that. And something that I've wanted them to do for a very long time is find a presenting partner that will add to that purse.
Yes.
And truly, I mean, you saw what NWSL did with their Challenge Cup, and I don't like the Challenge Cup format. I think it's a little weird, but they prioritized it. They got a naming rights partner. They added more money to the total purse and for the winners. So that's an easy thing that U.S. soccer could do. They're best friends with Coca-Cola now. They can get someone like that. They're 20 minutes from Delta. They could go, knock on the doors of some of the Delta pilots they have down there in Peachtree City and just say, "Hey, how do you want to do this?" Some of those Delta execs, I'm sure, would be willing to come up with something.
Someone get Ed Bastian on the phone.
Yeah. I've always thought, though, I thought for me, it would have made the most sense. And this is something that I didn't get to, my new best friend, JT, and I didn't have time to talk about this last week, but I think it actually would have made a lot of sense if they tried to go find like a Expedia or IHG or something like that to be the naming rights partner, add more money to the total pot, but also what you're doing is taking some financial strain off of the lower league teams by saying, IHG, we're the sponsor of the tournament, and we're also giving, lodging to the teams that are traveling. But that also plays into soccer as a whole ecosystem, because every kid who plays any sort of competitive level soccer is probably going to have to stay in a hotel at some point during a tournament or whatever. Well, now you can, with IHG, you can work something out with, officially licensed U.S. soccer clubs or whatever you want to call it, where that can be some sort of a discount as well. So it's just it is a missed opportunity because they refuse to take on the tiniest bit of challenge, did MLS. And now U.S. soccer, having gone 100+ years of not really making the tournament the big thing it should be, kind of getting caught with their pants down a little bit by not acting quick enough to make it the big tournament it should be.
All right. And so joining us here for Bart's segment, Jarrett joins us in hour number 2. So good morning, Jarrett. We're discussing what is not going on now with Open Cup and Major League Soccer.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, you walked into it, Jarrett. Good morning.
Well, no, good morning, buddy. Good to see you. I feel like I could open up a giant field and place one bear trap in that field. I could put up a sign. I could hand you a map. Don Garber's going to find that bear trap, buddy.
Yeah. Not a week of wins from MLS when it comes to their decision making after the owners' meetings. I'll tell you that much.
No, and it all feels so unnecessary in the sense that don't do what you've been doing. Let teams just kind of ship the whole thing. They don't even care. Because we know teams do that. We know we watched an LAFC team last year send a bunch of kids.
They sent LAFC too. They sent Los.
Yeah. Let them do that because it happens.
And that's exactly it, Jared. Until we get to the semifinal and final, like as a fan, I hate to say this, I don't care that much. Like it's the same. I feel the same way about FA Cup or Carabao Cup.
And I love cup competitions.
Yes.
But yeah, to your point, we do that in the FA Cup. We do it in the Carabao Cup. We do it in the Gummy Bear Cup. We do it they did in the Viaplay Cup in Scotland at times. Just if you don't care, then send your second team. And if this is all coming back to an argument with the players union about, compression, I mean, negotiate in the next CBA. I'm sorry. You had lots of games to play. Everyone decided to add Leagues Cup. Everyone decided to add Leagues Cup to their lives, and which I know Bart is even happier about because now Leagues Cup will get an even bigger focus, I'm sure. But just make it to where, like, if you don't want to play your guys, then don't play your guys. Now this opens up another can of worms where we say, hey, NCAA, I would invite you to remove your head from your ass because don't forget your academy kids can play in MLS Next Pro games, which will be playing in USOC games because the second teams are going to be playing. They're going to be playing against professional teams in USL and every other league. And kids can do that and keep their eligibility for college. But if they suit up for the MLS team, they lose their eligibility. Why? Because Mark Emmert is huffing some sort of noble gas on a daily basis, and nothing the NCAA does makes sense. If you would just free this crap up and let your academy kids play with the first team and not burn eligibility the way you let them play with the second team and not burn eligibility, it would be much easier for me to sit here and say, hey, we're going to put the MLS teams in the U.S. Open Cup. Oh, we don't want, our first team guys don't want to play. Cool. We're playing academy kids.
Yep.
I don't give a damn. Also, your academy kids could function in and out of the academy and the first team and get real exposure.
Oh, and by the way, it's the former governor of Massachusetts, Charlie Baker, who has assumed the Mark Emmert role, by the way. But I understand the Mark Emmert.
Well, this is a problem that Mark Emmert created.
True. Yeah.
Yes.
Mark Emmert does not get to escape the guillotine.
No.
The variable guillotine. I'm not literally going to cut his head off.
No, I understand that. But yes, Charlie Baker is just continuing the train of thought that is established by Mark Emmert here. So, no, it's...
by the way, if anyone has any tips on how to explain NIL to my mother, that would be great because that's my idea for my dad's Christmas present this year is a donation to the WVU NIL organization in his name.
I'll do it as soon as I can figure out how to explain the infield fly rule to people.
She was like, "Oh, I heard you have an idea," and I had texted my brothers about this last night. I was like, "This is my idea for Dad's present," and I was like, "Just talk to Grant. Like, he'll explain it better than I can. He's there with you."
That's the way that I can explain it to your dad is you're finally getting to say the quiet part out loud after all of these years of all of the players that Huggy Bear got to bring into Morgantown and have the basketball team.
Why are we talking about? I didn't want to talk about West Virginia basketball this morning.
Well, but they're better. They've been better traditionally than West Virginia football. So
it could be worse. Imagine for a moment that your weekend relies on happiness being provided by Arthur Smith and Brendan Rodgers.
It does that was rely a little bit on Arthur Smith and Desmond Ritter. Good Lord.
I want both of them far, far away. But that was only my Sunday. My Saturday was sleeping in a bit and waking up to see that Brendan Rodgers had given Hearts a 2-goal lead in Glasgow. So, yeah. Hey, England, you can have him back. I swear to God, you can't.
See, Michael Head, I understand you would never. I don't understand why you would never contribute to an NIL, because to me, I'd rather do that than contribute to the athletic department, because the NIL is going straight to a kid, in theory.
Well, and also, once again, you're putting the end to the $100 handshake, and now you're sitting here and you do it publicly.
Yeah. Because I was that. I would donate to. I mean, I donated a lot to the. I donated specifically to like programs of the athletic department. I wouldn't donate to like the athletic department as a whole, but I would like, okay, here's my donation to men's soccer, women's soccer. But now I would much rather donate to an NIL fund, because I know that money is probably going to go to a kid.
And that's probably the best way to describe it to your dad. It's like you want to.
Oh no, Dad gets it. It's my mom that I have to sell this to, because also listen. My dad is almost 65 years old. The man does not need another thing. Also, he's like every other father in the world, where if he wants a thing, he goes and buys the said thing.
Yes.
Please explain this to my family, because when everyone asks me for my birthday, like, what do you want for your birthday? Nothing. If I want something, I'll go get it myself.
Yeah. Yeah. It's tough, and like my mom's the same way, right? All parents are. Granted, I'm getting to that point too, where it's like, oh, I need it, so I'm going to go buy it, right? And now I'm like, I don't know, can you buy me new tires for my car, please? That's where we're at now.
Absolutely, but that's the thing. So just explain it to your mom about bringing in the best athletes into your campus and doing it above the table now as opposed to underneath. That's what you're doing.
Okay. Michael Head, I can't fight every battle on nobility. Okay. Sorry. I understand, but if everything we do is about righteousness and everything, then we're not going to ever get anything done. Sorry. You got to play the game that exists.
Yes. Reffing down here for this week. There are a couple of instances, and Rich actually brought one to the table, but let's start with what you saw in the Premier League, where I guess a handball isn't a handball in a big game.
I will give them this, because I was watching that game, and there was another incident in this game with a Manchester United handball. It was at midfield, and very similar. The ball kind of bounced up, hit the player's arm, and the referee immediately just waved it off. And so at least in this game, there was a consistent of, yes, it hit his arm, but we do have to have some allowance for the fact that random things happen, and the ball is going to hit you in places you don't predict it to hit you. And that's kind of what happened here. Also, in my opinion, if we want to be, strict about clear and obvious, I felt like it was not clear or obvious that the ball hit the player in a non-playable spot on the arm. Remember, we allow for a handball to go to the armpit, and that includes the arm, right? So we have like the armpit, and it, is that here? Is it here? Where on the, where is it? Is it, how far down does that go? And so from my vantage point, it would have been tough for VAR to come down and say, oh, that absolutely hit him in a spot on the arm that is not playable.
Yes, absolutely. So then there was that. And then there was another moment before we get into one from Liga MX that Bart has brought to the table. I have a question for you as an official anyway. Diogo Dalot picked up two of the fastest yellow cards in the history of man. And I mean, it was rapid fire. It was ace, jack, blackjack out the door. I mean, literally it's like 1, 2, and you're out, you're gone. when it comes to descent, I guess a double descent on your houses. When it comes to descent, how much of a leash do you have? How much of a leash do you give players? What are your hot buttons and things like that to where you want to sit there and go blackjack dealer on somebody? And I guess let's start with the Delow situation and what you saw with the bang bang and gone, and we'll go from there.
Well, similar to like if you're just in the game as a whole, there are certain words that you're just not allowed to use. Period. And there was, I think part of that is when you're talking about dissent, like you don't get to call the referee names. You don't get to use certain words toward the referee. There's always exceptions, and there's always trying to understand intent versus intent and tone and direction. And there's so many times that people just get mad and they yell, F off ref, and that's not like, they're not doing that as a form of dissent in the same way that this was, right? This was aggravated yelling at a referee. And so probably I couldn't really tell, but he probably called the referee a name or used a bad word, once you do that, you don't really have any sort of defense. And then you just got a yellow card.
Mm-hmm.
Why are we arguing? Because it wasn't like he got a yellow card for a foul and then argued the foul and got the next yellow card, right? That was not the order of operation. He was just mad and got 2 yellow cards for dissent. And that I don't get, because, personally, what I always do, and I'm sure the referee had the same conversation of, I've got a yellow card out. Do you want me to use it again? I just keep holding it. I keep it in my hand and I talk with it, make sure they see it. And I'm sure the referee, he doesn't have any responsibility to say that, but like, I'm sure he was like, buddy, I just gave you a yellow card. That's enough. And then he kept going. Well, I said that was enough the first time. You kept going. Here's another one. There were people mad at the referee for this. And I'm like, this is all on the player. This is all on the player for continuing to dissent and not even argue a call. Like, it wasn't, you got your say in. You got your yellow card taken and go home. You kept going. That is on you. That is not on the referee. That is on you. That's on you.
Yeah. And it was an interesting ending, Jarrett, where center ref went absolute blackjack dealer. And you just want to sit there and go to the player in particular after he gets the first. Where were his teammates? It's like, bruh.
I'm just picturing the scene from The Breakfast Club about, you want another detention?
Yes, it is. That's another week.
It's very that, Jared. It's very that.
Yeah.
And it's going to be interesting to see what happens, because if he said certain words, right, that's going to be extra. That's going to be some games added on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is. And
there's an art form to yelling at a referee and doing it in a way that, like, you're getting your thoughts across without getting sent off the field. There's an art form in doing this.
Yeah, Nix, are you done? Not even close.
Not even close. Exactly. That's another week.
That's exactly what it felt like.
So Diogo Delow is John Bender, and the center ref. The center ref is like this. The center ref is he's like this. Yeah. Mess with the bull, you get the horns. Absolutely, that is absolutely true. Now I want to see Diogo Delow in a long coat. That's what I want to see, and then just raging and climbing through roofs and things like that. That's the next thing I want to see.
And for what it's worth, getting him back for Not Another Teen Movie, which was a great film, like a objectively hilarious movie that also might have like been the start of the end of good parody films. Like, it might have triggered the downfall of good parody movies. But getting him back and replicating the scene with the original actor was just top class.
Yes. Badger, one of our players, just said F. Got a straight red. GHSA rule.
Oh, absolutely. No, that Georgia high school does not play around with cursing.
Nope. We had a catcher get sent out, get ejected for doing that. And look, that dude, I love him to death. he'd argued with a brick wall if the wall would hold still long enough.
Yes.
And the worst mistake the official made was because he screamed an F-bomb, but he didn't scream it at anybody. Like, he just screamed it kind of in general and got ejected. And then he decided, well, I'm already ejected. It's the end of the season. I'm going to get my money's worth.
Yes, absolutely. One more moment, and it's been brought by Rich Ransom before Maddie Cruz comes in and does her hit and run for Prem and Proper, the review this week. I'm going to bring what Rich brought to the floor, and it is in the links in the Twitch pitch. Nahuel Guzman got a second yellow and a red, America and Tigres. So it is a beautiful piece of over-the-top gamesmanship in Liga MX in the Grand Final, where Guzman goes and literally takes a dude out at about 40 yards away from goal. I mean, he is outside the 18. He's at the 35. He's at the 40. Hip check, out the door, yellow, red, gone. Now, the question I have for you in follow-up, and Rich has done yeoman work in posting the link to the expulsion. When it comes to loitering, after the yellow or the red, second yellow turns into a red or a straight red, Guzman was going to let everybody and his mom have it on the way out the door. And he's going to talk to teammates, and he's going to keep talking, and he's going to come back and talk to the ref. When it comes to an expulsion, when it comes to that red and, dude, you got to get out of here, and you loiter, how do you handle that, and how have you handled that in the past?
Well, this is where the other officials on site need to step in, right? This is not the responsibility of the referee to walk a guy off the pitch. I'm watching this now, and this video is very long. Don't get me. I don't understand though. In this scenario, one, what he's mad about. Like, it's like there's nothing he he tackles a guy, like you said, 40 yards out of. Yeah. It's a red card. It's a red card. Yeah. This is where other officials and administrators in the match, that's their job. Mm-hmm. The referee that's not my job. I can't deal with that. And really the only thing I do is I start my watch and go, okay, it was right here when this happened. And by the time we started play, you wasted 12 minutes of time, and I'm going to add 12 minutes of time on. This was also in stoppage time, so that's even more fun. But yeah, that is where you have to have someone, not a referee, needs to be in like a security personnel, an officer of some sort. They need to be there to do that, because clearly at this point he's loitering, he's where he shouldn't be, and he needs to be taken off. But the referee can't do that. That's not our job. We give them the red card, we say you got to go, and we don't restart play until he's gone.
You got to go. Get out of here. All right. So what's going on with SoccerForUS POD? 75 is up. What else is going on?
Well, this week and next week, we probably will be taking some holiday time off. We'll see. If we get the itch to talk about soccer, we might. Obviously, this week and the next week, all the holidays time, I will personally be traveling up to Charlotte on next Wednesday for hopefully a bowl game that will make me happy. We'll see. It'll be fine regardless. I'm going with a bunch of friends and family, so it'll be fun. But we'll see if Neil Brown can crush my dreams one more time this season.
We could have gone yesterday up to the Falcons-Panthers game. Tickets were like less than $5.
I was joking, and that my AO, our executive board here in Atlanta, I was like, we should just buy tickets and go. Yeah. It's scouting, right? That's a business expense. We're scouting up that stadium because US is hopefully playing there in a semifinal in a couple months. Actually,
some really good eating. Yeah, there are some really good eateries downtown. All right, we're going to do the hot.
Don't give Charlotte any benefit, John. Do not talk nicely about that terrible cut rate cookie cutter city. No. Did
Man,
not.
Charlotte is a bank that just happened to build a couple houses around it.
Look, there are a lot of great cities in MLS, and then there's Charlotte. Okay,
There are many cities, and Charlotte is one of them.
Hey, take it easy, guys. You're talking about my hometown of birth here, okay?
Wow.
Were you in Charlotte or were you outside of it?
I was in Charlotte.
Wow. Okay.
I mean, I moved in '92, so
yeah, so
I think
you got out of there. That
definitely,
was you've never done.
yeah, definitely Mecklenburg County.
Okay.
There are a lot of great places to eat around Charlotte, for sure.
Charlotte started this war, and I'm here to lose it.
Listen, this is don't talk smack if you ain't ready for it. That's all I'll say, David Tepper.
There you go.
I'll talk smack about Charlotte, even though they didn't score a touchdown yesterday and still won.
Yeah, and I played Zach Wilson instead of Bryce Young as my starting quarterback. Thank you very much. All right, Bart, be good, my friend. We'll catch up with you soon.
I'll be on next week to talk more about another MLS city that I don't like. I'll pick one at that point.
Well, but next Monday is the Christmas show, so we're not doing next Monday. So whatever day next week, just let me know. All right,
I'll just pick one. Yeah.
There you go. Talk to you in a bit.
All right, bye, y'all.
There goes Bart, and there goes the Irish goodbye for. That was the Irish goodbye for Jarrett. So Jarrett's going to come back in just a second. It's time for Prem and Proper, the review with Drew and Maddie. So Maddie is going to do the hit and run this week. So I'm going to yield in the sense of chivalry, and we'll let ladies go first. All right, Maddie, hit it. Newcastle, go.
Well, thank you so much. First of all,
that's politeness.
Thank you. First of all, I want to say, now, did we get knocked out of the Champions League in a really bad way? Yes, I ranted about that on Prim and Proper. But I will not be doing that today because we won 3-0. We'll say, are we going to keep winning because the other team keeps getting red cards? Is this just going to be how our season goes? Can we not play when there's 11 people on the field? I don't know.
Or 11 people injured.
Or 11 people injured, and just it keeps stacking, keeps going. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I mean, listen, I was happy with the win. We needed a win, especially coming out of the Champions League in the way we did. That one still leaves a bitter taste in my mouth just because we should have played so much better in the Champions League. What I'm sorry. It's fine. I can it makes me so mad because why? Oh, whatever.
Well, see, but this is where you and Drew have something in common. I have never seen a man so excited about getting a point from a goalless draw than Drew Dickinson.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I don't listen. I'm just nervous. I'm so nervous for the team. It feels like we try to do something great and then something just comes in and just completely destroys it. And then we just can't get back on where we need to go. I don't know, but I was just happy that Almiron scored and then Miley got the chance to score, which he has been phenomenal for us. I actually really enjoy him on the pitch. But I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I have no idea, but yeah, that's my little rant. Sorry. I just went off a little.
No, that's what we're here for. Drew, rant, go. Goalless draw. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you, sir. You wake up Sunday morning and before the lineup was put out, you just think, same old, 6, 7, 8, nothing. And then you see the lineup get a little comfortable. You think 3, 4, maybe even 5, nothing, a little improvement. I was very, very happy to see the pivot of Amrabat and Kobe Mainu getting the start against Liverpool. They both played fantastic. I mean, obviously you could tell they really had to run their socks off, as they say over in Europe. It was a case of that. It was a case of United having to defend for their lives. Liverpool had 34 shots to United 6. Liverpool had 8 shots on goal, 1 shot on target for United. And of course, Liverpool dominated possession. One thing that United was lacking, it wasn't the counterattacking. I mean, it was there. There was just no creativity down the middle, wherein lies my kind of argument with the McTominay experience that continues to go awry. I mean, yes, he scored 5 goals this season, but again, when he's not scoring goals, what does he provide? One thing that I was very excited to see yesterday was Rafael Varane coming back into his own a little bit, showing great leadership. He was exemplifying some leadership that, we really haven't seen on the pitch since he stopped playing. Him and Lisandro Martinez were that, 1-2 punch of leadership all last season. Now, finally, with a draw that should not have been, that front three of United yesterday was Højlund, Antony, and Garnacho. They have one goal between the three of them in the Premier League all season. Rashford came on towards the end, who only has 2 goals. So that's 3 goals and 4 front men for United in a Premier League season. Not going to cut it. But some good news coming around the corner. You got Liche getting healthy, Mason Mount coming back soon, Casemiro back soon, Ahmad coming back soon. So many more so many more players coming back into the fold that can possibly help Ten Hag. But before I cut out of this, rant, I'm extremely worried that come Saturday, United travels to London to face West Ham. I think he's going to revert back to, the quote-unquote McTerminator and Bruno playing, the double number 10s and leaving Amrabat and Varane and Johnny Evans on an island again. I hope not. I hope he noticed what can be with that 2-man pivot and with Bruno back in the fold. I'm excited to see. Little quick stat here. First time a United goalkeeper has made that amount of saves.
And it's Andre Onana.
And it being Onana, first time a Manchester United keeper has made that amount of saves in a game without conceding since De Gea in 2019. But everybody calls for his head, and I'll digress right there. But I'm excited for what the future holds of this season. And John, I know I sent you a DM last week. I changed my mind. Ten Hag in, dang it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Page 2.
I appreciate everything that he did yesterday.
Wow. All right. Page 2, Maddie, what else is on your mind from the Prem?
Well, I mean, first of all, I want to say thoughts and prayers with Luton captain Tom Lockery. That was really devastating to hear. I don't want to harp too much on it just because I feel like it's been harped on a lot, but I had to say it. Thoughts and prayers. That was really hard to watch. And it especially from a broadcast standpoint, seeing what happened with Christian Eriksen back a while ago. I watched that game live and seeing that, and then seeing how they handled this, especially with the medical personnel. I mean, just big round of applause to the medical personnel. Without them, I mean, Jesus, I mean, we wouldn't be anywhere. I mean, great thanks to them for the quick response that they had to get him the help that he needed, and thoughts and prayers with him and his family as well.
No doubt about it. And still waiting for Luton Town is asking for patience and some space, obviously, for Tom with what happened. Obviously, scary scenes, and it looks like they're going to replay the whole match. Was suspended basically with 25 to go after they let the clock run for a little bit. Drew, what's your page 2 from the Premier League this week?
Just once again, it's another big week. That top 4, is literally, what do they say, neck and neck. Very exciting. And that bottom 3. John, we talked about it. I think it was my first episode ever. We did our little pencil in here with our bottom 3. And the first team that I mentioned to you was Everton. And boy, I tell you what, they've lost 1 in their last 7. Yep. After the 10-point deduction, they'd be, wouldn't they be like 1 or 2 points below United right now if that wouldn't have happened? So
You're having me do math. What is your problem? All right, so Premier League stats. Let's take it. All right, so Everton is at 16 points, 10-point deduction. They would be 2 points behind your Manchester United. They would be +2 in goal difference at 26 points. So they would be in 10th, ahead of Chelsea by 4 points.
Jeez.
And behind Brighton by 1 goal and goal difference. So that's what we're staring at. So, yes, you are correct. Everton, I thought Everton was going to be part of that discussion down at the bottom. But Sean Dyche, what has Sean Dyche done with Sean Dyche, Maddie, and why is he playing offensively instead of what we're used to seeing at Burnley? Where did this man go? Was he body snatched and substituted with someone with offensive principles? I don't know what's going on here with Sean Dyche.
Yeah, I don't know either. If you would have told me that at the beginning of this season that they would be where they are, I would have said, nah, you're lying.
Absolutely.
No way.
Exactly.
Even with the 10-point deduction, they would be like right up there with Manchester United. It's like like just thinking about that, and then even also how they've been able to listen. Drew, I'm sorry, you're the one who said it. I'm just emphasizing it.
But Drew is the one who's saying, it's like Drew's the one trying to pull out his earbuds and go, now wait a minute, did I need to hear that piece?
Just a little refresher. 3-0 a couple weeks ago, but I'll digress. Listen, I don't want to interrupt, but with the Sean Dyche conversation, listen, we've seen Eric Ten Hag completely change his philosophy because all of his injuries. Sean Dyche, I mean, listen, if you're him, I would do whatever it takes to remain in position at Everton. They've got that amazing new stadium that they're about to unveil. Why would you not want to be at the helm? And he's doing something very exciting. You keep Calvert-Lewin healthy. You've got Keane back into play, who, mind you, scored this past weekend, and he was written off, at the end of last season. So I appreciate what it is that he's doing. And John, we talked about, I'm going to be in that neck of the woods here in about 6 months. So it's going to be really exciting with Liverpool or Anfield and the new Goodison Park right around the corner coming. So yeah, good things to come in that city.
Yeah, Bramley Moore-Dock, and Drew will be one of our on-site correspondents and hosts for soccer over there, looking at things in the lower divisions with him filing his passport in 6 months' time. Maddie, what's your page 3? What else is on your mind?
One of the things I really want to talk about that I saw yesterday, what was in the Brentford and Aston Villa.
Oh, wow, that was awesome.
What was up with that game? I don't.
Well, I mean, and once again, we got to see Emi Martinez be the perpetual peacemaker, and I say that tongue somewhat firmly planted in cheek, because Emmy likes to stir it up as much as he likes to play peacemaker.
Oh, boy.
It's like
yes.
you get to that point if you're the Villa keeper, and Emi Martinez, who is fantastic representing his country for winning World Cups and is one of the best ish talkers ever in the history of ish talkers when it comes to being between the sticks. In that one yesterday, literally you get that to do at the end, and Emmy's like, he's like, no, yes, no, yes, no. Literally, it's like, come on now, everything's fine. No, you need to calm down. No, you need to jack things up a little bit. No, Emi Martinez is one of the best. Now, and Drew, how would you bet if there was? I mean, there are guys who play both sides of the fence, and Emi Martinez is one of the best at doing that.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, I think a lot of that has been taken out of the game because of the officiating, and don't want to get cars, don't want to get scared, and a lot of these people don't have, in modern day time, you talk about LeBron James not being able to hack it in the 80s and 90s of the NBA. Mm-hmm. I mean, Emi Martinez, he is he's nowhere near as big as Schmeichel, but he'll come out of the box, he'll get in your face, and he'll make it known, like, you want to come inside this box, you're going to have to deal with me. Whether or not sometimes it's childish, but at the same time, if I'm going to war, I want Emi Martinez on my team.
No doubt about it. All right, Maddie, what are your plans at SDH this week? What are you up to? Great interview with the Coach McAlpine over at UGA, by the way. So go back and listen to Soccer's in Session. What are you up to this week with SDH? Anything?
I'm trying to think. That was my last Soccer is in Session of the year. It'll be back in January. When we cover more of the high school soccer season coming in.
Right.
A lot of college soccer's kind of died down, so I'm just enjoying the holidays. Gonna be, appearing on Prim and Proper, doing all that stuff. Don't worry, I'll be talking so much stuff. Don't worry, y'all ain't seen the last of me. I'm still here.
Newcastle Smack, we know, is coming on for Friday's episode of Prem and Proper because it's Festive Fixtures, and there's a lot of space that's going to be jammed in there with Festive Fixtures. So, Maddie, I know that you've got to go because this had to be a hit and run for you. So go ahead. You've done the hit and run. Enjoy the rest of your Monday and drop back in whenever, okay?
Absolutely. You guys have a good rest of your day.
There's Maddie. And so that's Maddie. So, Drew, how much time do you have left before you turn into a pumpkin?
I got a couple minutes.
Okay. All right. So, what's your coda? What is your other storyline for the week from the Premier League that we have yet to discuss from the weekend that was?
It's Arsenal to me. The battling, I don't want to say adversity, but they had a battle on their hands, and I think last week, it said Christmas time is around the corner, so they still have time. But man, watching them play this weekend, John, it's really hard to doubt them. And We were talking, not just Arsenal, but to me, the biggest story going to the end of the year, coming into the new year.
Yep.
And again, we talked about it last week. I made a huge mistake. Pep's got a very, very big time uphill battle. I mean, there's some big time. He does. And if there's anybody that can fix the clogs and the holes in that defense, it's Pep. But is he going to have to go to, is there going to have to be a transfer coming in January? Is he going to have to buy someone to fix that? Who knows? And another thing, John, that we didn't get a chance to talk about, I just want to mention, it's coming a little bit. I don't want to say it's becoming a problem with United. I think it's becoming a problem in the Premier League itself. It's the personalities and how these referees are taking over the games. For instance, the Diego Dallo red card in the 94th minute, two yellows for dissent, and within 10 seconds, the exact same dissent got a second yellow. Wow. It completely changed. Thankfully, it was the latter part of the game, but we got to do a little bit better here. I mean, we see it in a lot of sports, but I don't concentrate on a lot of sports like I do on this one. What's your opinion on that? I'd like to know what you think about that.
Well, and that's why we like to have Bart come in, Bart Keeler, our resident official, to do reffing down here. I mean, first off, Diogo Dalot runs his mouth, and he does the wild gesticulating, and he's doing all this kind of stuff, and it's like, all right, so fine, bang, but what we also don't know is we don't know what was said. We don't know if there were any magic words that came out with yellow number 1 or yellow number 2. If there were magic words, then I don't mind ace of spades, jack of clubs, blackjack, bang, you're gone. I don't mind that. I don't, because and that to me seems, like I said, without any evidence, without any empirical evidence to dictate what happened here. First off, Dalot, he's doing all this kind of stuff like he's in the swimming pool during gym class. He's waving all over the place. Great, fine. Or bringing in a plane at Heathrow. So I get that one. I get that yellow, but we don't know what was said, or was it like the center ref is sitting there going, are you done? You keep going, and you said something, or something was triggered, and it's just like, but if it's like Country Joe West or Angel Hernandez, where you feel like you're being shown up, then I know you're out of hand. Those are two of the baseball umpires that are lightning rods in Major League Baseball.
Oh, for sure.
But like I said, I think the biggest thing is we don't know what we don't know. And beyond the histrionics, if you did it the first time and you kept going and there was a magic word in there, I get it. Bang, bang, you're done and get out of here. So I understand if that was the case. So like I said, we're still missing some evidence. But histrionics and continuing and all that kind of stuff, yeah, I mean, then the lesson for Diogo Dalot is don't do it.
Yes, 100%. Now, let me defend him real quick. Quick.
As you do.
Just a few seconds. Bear with me here. All right, now, you're the official. It's the 90th minute. United was expected to lose by double-digit points or goals. And you have not only played 94 minutes straight, you've ran your tail off, you've defended your behind off, literally 90 straight minutes. You come in, you not only do you win the tackle, but you also win the ball. It knocked off Salah. Dallo won the throw-in. He gets frustrated, gets upset. Obviously I can see the first yellow. But John, come on. We're at Anfield, arguably the biggest rivalry in Europe.
Yeah.
Almost game is almost over with. I think the second one, little harsh. And honestly, I would have said the same thing if it was to the Liverpool or to the Everton player, or the Arsenal player. Sometimes I just feel, maybe a little enough is enough. And that's all I'm going to say in defense of Dallo. But the first yellow, 100% granted. But you're right. We don't know what was said, if anything was said, to get the second. But I'll digress right there and leave it at that for that topic at least.
All right. So now for you, sir, when it comes to the rest of your week, you're getting ready for Prem and Proper for Festive Fixtures, yeah?
Yes. Yeah. I'll have a fun 3D for everybody on Thursday. Go a little bit more in depth with the United Liverpool game. Got a few more fun stats. And I want to talk about West Ham this weekend. It's an early game, 7:30 kickoff this Saturday morning. Both teams meeting United West Ham. I've said it for the last, the Premier League, every weekend, every game is a must win. But coming into this festive fixture for United and West Ham, I don't think there's a bigger game for any two more teams this weekend than United and West Ham. West Ham flying, just won 3-0 over the weekend. They're going to be looking to keep it up. United, Bruno coming back into the fold, a little bit more creativity. I'm anxious to see what Ten Hag does with that starting 11.
No doubt about it. And Drew is on the 280 character app, Dickinson JR18. As you see, on his lower third. I mean, there we go. So I always get this messed up when on the side. So yeah, Drew's lower third is at Dickinson JR18 on the 280 character app. He'll be back with Prem and Proper with his 3D, the Drew Dickinson diatribe, as we bail into festive fixtures. Thanks as always, my friend, for taking time out of your real world schedule to drop in on a Monday. We'll catch up with you soon.
All right, my friend, anytime. Talk to you guys soon.
There's the 3D and Drew. So Drew's got to go back to his actual life and, paychecks and things like that. He literally, this is what Drew does. Drew takes his morning break to come on the show, to do his Prem and Proper, the review. That's the kind of diehard that Drew is. That is the kind of diehard that Drew Dickinson is. He takes time out of his real world schedule so he doesn't get in trouble. And then he puts his lanyard back on around his neck, and he heads off to impress the youth of this planet and all the others. So that's what Drew is doing. That's what Drew does on a weekly basis when he drops by on Mondays at like 10:30-ish when he and Maddie do Prem and Proper the review. All right, so news this morning in and around, and this comes out of USL Championship. And what we might do, I may reach out to Kaylor Hodges and see what Kaylor is up to tomorrow because of what's going on. According to folks that follow life in the USL Championship, and I'll go ahead and, do I do this? No, it's because it's not officially official. Okay, so since it's gossip, rumor, and innuendo, I won't hit the button. But it looks like the USL Championship schedule is dropping today. So for those of you who are of a certain fan base and offering, it looks like the USL Championship master schedule is dropping today, and it also looks like another club is ceasing operations. Reports are it's RGV, Rio Grande Valley. And RGV has been around. The Toros have been around for quite some time. And they're down there in Edinburgh, Texas. And Wilmer Cabrera, who has been a great representative of theirs on this network and on others. They were founded back in 2015. They played at HEB Park down in Edinburgh. And the RGV Vipers, the G League basketball team, also own the soccer club. And they separated from the Dynamo, became an independent club back in 2020. They were in USL Championship, but Wilmer Cabrera came back. He was their first coach, by the way. Coached their first 31 matches, 14-8-9. And he's been there since February 11th of 2021. And finished last season with a record of 30, 27, and 34. He won about a third of his games in his time there. So Soccer Specific Stadium in Edinburgh, Texas will keep an eye on this particular story. And if it is, in fact, the case, that would be obviously, it's disappointing because of what's going on in USL Championship. A couple of other pieces of news. Like I said, we'll try and get Kaylor and see if he's going to be around tomorrow, like around 10:30 or so. FC Tulsa signed League One Defender of the Year Arthur Rogers. Hartford Athletic has added midfielder Anderson Asayadu as a part of their makeover for 2024. El Paso has brought Tony Alfaro, who a lot of folks may remember from NYC and the LA Galaxy. Tony Alfaro is now in El Paso. Cristiano Francois has now been made a part of Loudoun United. Lou City has brought Tola Shawunmi. We talked about Tola Shawunmi last week. Ezra Armstrong has been added at North Carolina. Oscar has been moved now to Memphis 901 and Stephen Glass. So, Stephen Glass, be good, Abby. And, yes, Hutch, my tribe is the diatribe, absolutely. Abby, I'm glad we could help close your suitcase this morning as a part of everything. But Orange County has signed their big four. They have signed Brian Eloski, Kevin Partita, Kyle Scott, and Seth Kasipley to new contracts. They also exercised the contract option on Thomas Among. Bryce Jameson, their U17, remains under contract. So Rhode Island continues to add players. They added Prince Saidi the other day. So we'll see how things are going to be in USL Championship for next season. Remember, they had 24 teams. They were an even 12-12. And so what happens now with teams coming in, you've got Rhode Island coming in, Sporting Jacks coming in, and Iowa coming in. So this looks like it's going to be a straight swap. If RGV is out and Rhode Island is in, so they will stick at 24 for next season. But there might be a shift from a team in the East to the West to make up for that. So it might be Tulsa, and like I said, this is just conjecture, but Tulsa being the most Western team of that group might be shifting to the Western Conference next year, with the probable demise, as it is being linked on the 280-character app, that the RGV Toros are ceasing operations today as the schedule is being announced. And according to folks in the 280-character app, part of the holdup in releasing the fixture list has been RGV. Early draft fixture list circulated among clubs had featured the Toros, and now that's got to change. And that's why the schedule is being released apparently today. RGV is being announced today, but like I said, it would make the most sense for Tulsa to shift from the East to the West, take over the RGV spot, have Rhode Island come in the East and take the spot from FC Tulsa. So we'll see if that happens, and we'll see if if we can catch up. We can see if we can catch up with Wilmer Cabrera if this news is in fact going to go down today. That the USL Championship schedule. It's supposed to be. They thought Michael wants to know about the MLS schedule, and there had been discussions that the MLS schedule itself was going to be out this weekend. Remember that you've got a draft coming up as well. And so we will see if there's anything going on with the schedule in and of itself. I'm trying to see if there's a date that was attached to it. It was released on the 20th the last couple of seasons. So maybe you're looking at the draft and then the next day you get the schedule. So keep an eye midweek. I don't think they'll release it close to Christmas. So if I was to put one and one together and try to manufacture a math problem, draft, schedule release. You get your headliners, and then you get to figure out where you're traveling and all that kind of stuff. So that's what you're staring at when it comes to that's when you get the schedule coming out. But yeah, so keep an eye on USL Championship today, and we'll see if A, the schedule for the championship comes out, and B, if the news about RGV is accurate. But MLS schedule look midweek. Once again, a very, very busy week. You've got draft. Atlanta United has 4 draft picks in the draft. I think their lowest is at 77, so we'll keep an eye on that. That is in the afternoon. And so I think, Amelia, I think you're spot on. So 12:20. So like I said, draft, schedule. So we'll have all that stuff, and we can sit there and plot all of our travel plans going forward when it comes to what we're staring at in Major League Soccer, trying to see if there's anything else that I may have missed in all of our stuff. So yeah, 3:00 tomorrow afternoon is the MLS Super Draft, and looking at the list, you're staring at 388 possible names that are available in the draft, and so we'll keep an eye on all of that. and what we're staring at with those. Transfer tracker, Antonio Carlos has been moved to Fluminense from Orlando City. If you followed the Purple Team on social media, transferred him to Fluminense. The club announced over the weekend, originally acquired on loan from Palmeiras in 2020, was a cornerstone of their defense, forming the partnership with Robin Janssen. 4 goals, 4 assists, 88 appearances, and 80 starts over the last 4 years. So Antonio Carlos has been moved to Fluminense. RB Leipzig and Red Bulls, once again, you link up with your parent clubs and your fellow clubs. Red Bulls have acquired DP midfielder Emil Forsberg. He's going to be a DP, signed through the 26 MLS season with an option for 27. Head of sport Jochen Schneider had 3 sentences of praise on Emil Forsberg. 2-time DFB Pokal winner at Leipzig, 71 goals, 68 assists, and 324 appearances. And he joined them first in 2015. 32-year-old rose to stardom while at Sundsvall and Malmo. Sweden, he was a part of their World Cup squad in 2018. 21 goals, 9 assists, 86 matches so far for country. Sandro Schwartz was quoted. He said some nice things. Forsberg fills the DP spot alongside Luquinhas and Dante Van Zier. Following Red Bull's officials saying there would be increased spending in the 2024 season. So keep an eye on that. Thomas Pandeka has been signed by the parent club, FC Dallas, from his time with North Texas SC. He was 4 goals, 3 assists, 23 matches last year, and options through the 25 season for options of 26 and 27. So that's a signing for FC Dallas. Sporting Kansas City have signed Honduran forward Elenis Vargas. And Vargas comes from Football Consultants Desamparados. Say that 10 times fast. 20-year-old forward, second division Costa Rican side, signed through the 26th season with a club option for 27. Spent time on loan at Sporting Kansas City 2. 6 goals, 5 assists, 21 appearances. Second team reached the MLS Next Pro playoffs. And he didn't begin playing competitive soccer until he was 16. That's interesting. And so capable of playing as a striker and a winger, adding depth to what they have currently in-house with Polito, Russell, and Shallowy. So keep an eye on that. We mentioned the Chris Donovan re-signing, and he is going to stick with Philadelphia Union. DC United selected Ethan Dobelar in the end-of-year waivers, so he's going from Seattle to DC United as a part of all of those discussions. So we have all of that activity going on, all the news, all the stuff, the official term. And Forsberg, Major League Soccer thought it was big enough, a big enough transaction for Forsberg for Red Bulls. He's at the top of the front page. Top of the front page. So good for Red Bulls to bring in Forsberg. Will he translate? I guess that to me is the biggest question. Is he going to translate to what we're seeing in Major League Soccer? Harry Austin. Okay, so Harry is following up on RGV for us because Harry's faster at it than I. Yeah, we're still trying to keep an eye on RGV. Yeah, and I'm trying to see if there's anybody else that is saying anything more definitive in the last hour about it. Does not seem to be anything that is definitive over what we've seen. So if the schedule comes out today and it is announced and RGV isn't a part of it, like I said, I think it's going to be a straight swap. I think it's going to end up being FC Tulsa to the west, taking over the RGV space, Rhode Island into the east, taking over the FC Tulsa space. 12 on each side, you get 24 teams, and the USL Championship is good to go. Oh, reminder, tomorrow, a couple of different things on the table. 10 o'clock, Darren Van Tassel's going to be joining us to let everybody know what's going on down in South Georgia at South Georgia Tormenta. There's plenty going on there with what is up with unified team announcement, USL League One schedule announcement, and we'll probably get Darren's thoughts on Open Cup and anything else going on. Pablo Jara also going to Richmond. That was one of the stalwarts of that franchise, Tormenta. heading to Richmond on a multi-year deal, and we are tracking down Pablo for a 1v1 as well. Tomorrow, we will also have Bev Yanez in a 1v1, the new head coach at Racing Louisville, and we'll catch up with her in the afternoon, and that'll get posted also. And then Wednesday, hopefully, Dylan Butler can join us before Christmas. Thursday, hopefully, Nico can join us before Christmas. Friday, we're looking at Festive Fixtures, and Prem and Proper will be released with Drew and Maddie, and hopefully we can catch up with our friends at Beyond Goals Mentoring one more time before Christmas as well, and we'll have taped stuff, and we've reached out to a bunch of other folks about doing some things and updating us on what is going on in the soccer footprint. So that is another round of Soccer's Morning Show here at SDH. And once again, thanks to, let's see, who was here today? It was Bart, it was Maddie, it was Drew, it was Jarrett, it was you. Full show. Once again, great to have everybody here and being a part of what we are here at SDH. One final reminder, and we'll have additional news coming up as a part of our fundraising efforts for the Marshall Islands. We've reissued the Atlanta is American Soccer City Scarf. We're reissuing this for the holidays. So once again, 25 and 5. If you're interested, just DM us here at the show or DM me on the 280 character app and we'll get it figured out. But we will also have an announcement coming up in short order about the follow-up to this to help out our friends at the Marshall Islands. So we are reissuing one scarf, and it's safe to say that we are having another one pieced into this discussion. So for everybody here at SDH, I'm just John. Thanks for hanging out with us for another round of Soccer's Morning Show. It's the end of the show. Mucha plata, y'all. Play it safe. That means I get to do this. We'll be back at it again 9 to 5 tomorrow morning.